Hello there guys, Francis Gray here, and today I've got a new model kit to share you all. This is a resin kit on a character called Kuramoto Erika. She is from an anime called Zettai Jun Paku. I'm sorry, I probably butchered the saying of that, I apologise for that. I'm not too sure myself of where this is actually from. I have seen a few clips on YouTube of the anime. I haven't seen the full thing itself. I only know like the few bits that I have seen. Like I said before, it's a resin kit. It measures 15 inches high. That's from the bottom of this base to the top of the blade, and roughly 12 inches long, and that's from wingtip to wingtip. In the actual series or the actual anime, I believe there's 4 of these like angelic angels slash schoolgirls that form a team, and from what I can tell, basically they fight either demons or like intergalactic aliens or interdimensional aliens or something like that. Usually they're quite angelic to look at. Usually they're very like whites, pearls, very light colours. This was a private commission, and I built one of these before, a character called Suzura Misa. I uploaded her a couple of months back. This is the second kit that is in the franchise or in the set. I do believe they are planning on making the 3rd and 4th characters. I don't know if that is the case. I do believe it is the case, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to continue on with that. I can't see why they wouldn't. But getting back to the model kit, like I said, it was a private commission. He wanted me to paint her up more darker in tone, like I did with the Suzura Misa. Instead of pearlescence and whites and very all light and lovely, he wanted me to paint them like dark reds, blacks, dark purples. Basically, give it a bit of a darker tone, I suppose, or a darker feel to the character. So yeah, so I'll give you a quick 360. So getting to the actual model kit, it was quite a tricky one to build. I won't take away from the actual model kit itself. It's beautifully sculpted, beautifully moulded. There are a few parts in there that can be used as like connection points, like I suppose like a resin form of pinning. I suppose the parts do fit rather well. There are a few parts that were a bit stubborn. I did have to rework a few bits, grind a few bits down, file a few bits down, etc. So yeah, so basically in the kit, comes in a multitude of parts. You get this column, then this side part here which connects into that. Then this big, massive, long part that goes up, that connects into that. As for the figure itself, it's this main leg, then her pants or her panties, then this leg. They connect via the thighs, so it's leg, thigh, panties, leg, thigh, panties. Main torso. There's 2 different versions of builds for this. Now you can have this version where she's slightly covered, or you could have the bare-breasted version where everything's on display. Now you do get a second option with the bikini as well. So you got this version where it's tied, and then you've got the version where it's untied, and then they're like just basically dangling down. The client who asked me to build this opted for this version. this sash is separate. This silver triangle thing, that's in 2 parts, and then that glues into position on that. There's a slight pin on that goes into the side of her thigh there, of her torso. Then you've got these diamond parts on the top of the arms. The brassiere, I believe that's in 4 parts, 1, 2, and then there's this twirly bit there, 3, and then there's a slight bit on the back there which is 4. Then you've got this arm piece, and then this arm piece. Then you've got the hands, and then obviously these connect to the weapon. Now the weapon is, you've got this part at the top which is the blade, which then fits into this cross, which then fits onto this part here, which then fits onto the pole, runs down, and then you've got this back piece here as well. So there's quite a few bits to that. Getting to this sash, it's the same as the other side. This diamond part is 2 parts. Sash is 1 part. There is a connection point that fits into this big rock here, but it's not strong enough to keep it in place, because unfortunately this is the only fault that I could find with this kit, is there's nothing connecting this to the side of a waist or the side of a thigh. There's nothing connecting at all. So what I basically had to do is, if I had to rebuild this up again, I would connect that and then drill and pin it, and then add the wing. But unfortunately I did it the other way around. I did this more or less last, and then I couldn't drill and pin it without breaking the wing off, and I didn't want to do that. So instead of pinning it up here, obviously it's glued, what I did is I drilled and pinned it from down here. So it already has a connection point into the rock anyway, but what I did was I drilled halfway into this rock through the bottom of the sash, then took a bit of wire, bent it into a 90-degree like L shape, and then put some super glue on it, inserted it in, pushed the metal so it sat flush with the sash, left it to dry. Then I created a little bit of Abe's epoxy modelling clay, sculpted over it so you can't see the wire, and then moulded it out, smoothed it out, sorry, and then then painted it black, and you can't tell now. So that is more or less rock solid. It's really good dimensions to this kit. I was really amazed how everything seems to flow and connect to something else. Like, for example, the way the figure is built up, and then it like flows around, so she's just touching the top of that. So obviously that's all glued together. That's all glued down to the base, which runs back up to her leg. And then you've got the wings, so the wing comes out, so you can glue the back of this wing not only into the body, or the back of her body, you can also glue it to the side of her arm there. And then with the other one, it's more or less the same, but it lines up to the sash. So there is quite a lot that you can pin to other stuff or glue to other stuff, which kind of makes life a little bit more simple, I suppose. But as the main nightmare with this was probably the head area and the hair. Now there's a lot of parts to this. So obviously you've got the neck part, attaches to the body. You've got the head, attaches to the neck. Then you've got the front part of the hair that connects onto there. And then you've got this little kiss curl here, which then goes on after that. Then you've got these like bits of armour up at the top there. Those connect on after you've made these bunches. So these bunches are made of 3 different parts of hair strands together. You got to find out which ones fit with which. I would recommend painting them up individually before you assemble them, otherwise it would be a nightmare. Yeah, so you make these 2 basic bunches of 3 parts of hair. And then they fit in via a peg system through the holes in these bits of armour, which then sits flush into the hair. I hope that makes sense. Worked pretty well, but I found that the holes in these weren't very forgiving, so I had to basically get a small file in the hole and file some excess off, and basically just keep trying the pin system until it fit, basically. And then obviously you've got to attach these two wings, which didn't really want to go. It took me a long time to do that. And then you've got this extra part of hair that fits down under, up, back into the back of the head. And then you've got this part also fits into the back of the head. So there's a lot in there that has to line up and fit perfect with the other, which is very, very difficult, very tricky. This is an original kit. I would highly recommend only ever purchasing and buying an original. Obviously, because it supports the hobby, and this channel's against recasts. But mainly, I'd suggest definitely buy an original, because a recast would be warped to hell, would not line up, would not fit, and unless you're an extremely good modeler, you wouldn't be able to make much with it. So most of it would have to be binned. So yeah, so I'd strongly recommend only ever hunting an original of this kit, and the same with the last one that I made, the Suzuki Misa. So yeah, so lovely overall look, very dramatic, characters obviously in a free flow kind of flight kind of pattern, kind of stance. Lovely detail on the wings. The wings come in two separate parts, so you've got the main wing and then you've got this inner side wing as well, same with the other side. Most of the parts do fit quite nicely into their designated slots. Could have had better instructions. The only instructions you get, they're not really instructions, they're more just a photograph of the table of contents inside the box. They basically just show you what you should be getting in the kit. The actual instructions themselves were literally just a front-facing photograph of the figure and nothing else. So I had no idea what parts of the hair meant to go where. I had to basically just trial and error, and then just keep building it up. And then I realised a part would be glued in the wrong section, so then I have to take it apart and then sand off the seams. And yeah, it was a little bit fiddly. So yeah, it would have been nice to have some nice instructions. The only other part of this that was added was this wooden base. Now, with these figures, because there's a lot of detail goes in them, there's a lot of work goes into them, and if you just try to display it by itself, it would very easily fall over and break. So what I did, and I did this with the other kit as well, the Suzuki kit, is basically I got two of these matching wooden bases. I drilled a hole in the centre of the columns. I super glued a raw plug in place, a very thin raw plug. Hot glued these to this base. Drilled a hole in the centre up through the wooden base, leading up to the column. Then I housed a metal screw from this to that, so this is all one piece now. It's all connected together, so she's not going to go nowhere. And then I buried the screw head into the wooden base, and then I flushed over that with some wood filler, left it to dry, sanded it down, PVA glued it all, and then added this nice blue felt. So both of them are matching felts. So the main reason I did that obviously is to keep it steady, but obviously with it being a wider base, it's more like weight distribution, so I don't have to worry about it falling over and breaking. So that was one thing that doesn't come with a kit, but I would hardly recommend you take the time to make yourself. So basically, the more wider the base, the more secure the actual figure will be. So yes, I'll give you a quick zoom in. Apologies for any camera shake or anything like that. So as you can see there, very typical Japanese anime, absolutely beautiful sculpt. This must have been a 3D printed because there's a lot of detail in there, and like I said, they are very well moulded as well. Yeah, the only negative, like I said, it would have been nice if there was a pin from this piece into this leg like there was on the other side, but unfortunately it just sits flush. So a little tip there, if you're going to build this, sort that out before you add the wings. So yeah, so that's more or less it. There's nothing else much to add. I hope you like this quick look at. Please don't forget to click the like button and share on Facebook and Twitter, because it helps new people find my channel, which I'm always appreciative. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check out past model kit builds, especially if you like this. Check out the Suzura Misa build as well, because that's the sister piece to this. Don't forget to subscribe for future model kit builds and statue reviews and model kit builds and tips and all kinds of extras. And yeah, nothing else to say but thank you for watching and see you next time. Thank you very much and goodbye.